Hey friends, welcome to Blooming Wand, your home for grounded spiritual content. I'm Emily O'Neill, evidential psychic medium, intuitive healer, and coach. And I thought that as we approach the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, I wanted to create an episode to help us lean into this special time. And the theme is really simply summer solstice reflections and how we can lean into the energies of the longest, brightest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, I find myself drawn at this time to pause and reflect on this moment when the sun reaches its peak power. There's something about this time that calls me to slow down, to honor the light, and to feel my connection to both the natural world and the countless humans who have celebrated this day before us. Now, I wanted to share a poem I wrote that emerged from my own solstice contemplations last year. And reading it this year, the words felt like messengers from the ancestors to all of us. And as I recall that moment when I wrote this poem or prayer, I remember it vividly. It was in bed on solstice morning with the sun rising over the hilltops and Mount Hood. I am just reminded that the poem came to me in minutes. It came fully intact. It just came to me and I wrote it down. There was really no writing or rewriting of it at all, other than to correct some typos because I'm not always the best speller, but I just put pen to paper and let it flow through me. But also included in this episode are some thoughts about how we might just honor this ancient celebration in our lives, knowing that there was a time when this time the solstice was really celebrated by our ancient ones, by the ones that came before us. But first, let's start with the poem, which I titled On This Longest Day. On this longest day, I pause to honor the sun. I feel its warmth on my skin, and a doubtless joy rises. O radiant heart of the world, beat in time with mine. Brilliant sun, ignite the spark of joy to chase away the shadows of doubt and fear. Leave only rays of possibility. I see the vibrant greens, the ripening fruits. I hear the hum of the dragonfly. I feel the prayer of infinity wings as the hummingbird flies, all a testament to the earth's generosity. May this abundance remind me of the inherent wealth within my life. Like a flower turning to the sun, I open to receive this gift. I will savor the sweetness of the season, the laughter of loved ones, the simple pleasures that bring delight. And in this moment, may my heart fill with joy that overflows into the world. When I feel into this time of year, as I've mentioned, I feel like we're walking in ancient footsteps. And when I think about the summer solstice, I'm moved by the knowledge that humans have been marking this day, marking this special time, this sacred time, for thousands of years. Ancestors built stone circles, lit bonfires, and gathered in celebration, understanding that there was something profound about this moment when light reaches its fullness. I don't know. I mean, just being with the longer days and being with the light has brought up some mixed feelings within myself, both ones of joy, but also of like feeling like I have more time in the day, and then realizing that that doesn't mean I need to do more. But kind of leaning back into what the ancestors did and how we know that this was a really special time of year. It's obvious, but let's just talk about some of the things that the ancestors used to do. We have at Stonehenge, people gathered over 4,000 years ago, and I know that they still do because I watch the live streams. There are many of them to watch the sunrise in perfect alignment with the massive stones. In ancient Egypt, the solstice marked the flooding of the Nile, the source of life for an entire civilization, and still a source of life for an entire civilization and entire peoples. The Celtic peoples honored the Oak King at the height of his power, while indigenous communities across the Americas held ceremonies to give thanks for the sun's life-giving energy. And many of these celebrations are still practiced today. They haven't gone by the wayside necessarily. But I do think many of us need the gentle reminder that this is a sacred time. It's a way to honor the earth and the abundance of the earth and the earth's connection to the sun, which is a giver of life too. And the ancient celebrations that I just mentioned echo what I feel in my own heart when I pause to honor the sun: rising joy, a sense of connection to something much larger than myself, recognition of abundance all around. These aren't new feelings, they're part of humanity's oldest conversation with the natural world. And when we take time to notice the vibrant greens and the ripening fruits, and when we listen to the hum of the dragonfly or watch the hummingbird's prayer-like flight, we're participating in the same wonder that has moved humans for millennia. And it feels good to be filled with that wonder for life and the natural world. I thought I might take some time to offer some simple solstice celebrations that you can incorporate into your self-care and spiritual practices. Um, they don't have to be complicated, and they're gentle to honor both your spirit and the spirit of the solstice and our connections to those who came before us, knowing that this was a really sacred time to the ones that walked before us. Now, I like to start with the sunrise. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I don't shut my blinds. I don't even think I have blinds on my bedroom window anymore. And my bedroom faces east, so I watch the sunrise and always leave my window cracked because I know when the sun's going to rise, because the birds start really chirping and going bonkers right before sunrise, and I always say, the sun's about to rise because the birds are going crazy. So you can start with the sunrise. On the morning of the solstice, step outside as early as you can and feel the sun's warmth on your skin and take a moment to simply acknowledge its power. This is what your ancestors did. They paused to honor the light that makes all life possible. So anytime really during the day, just thinking of the sun and looking at the sun and offering gratitude for the life that it gives all of us. The second thing you could do is just notice the abundance in your life. Take a walk and really see what's around you. Feel the fullness of summer. Feel that it's everywhere if we take the time to look. In gardens heavy with fruit, in the busy life of insects. I've been watching a lot of insects lately. And in the confident green of fully leaved trees. And let this abundance remind you, as it reminds me, of the wealth that exists in your own life. Practice opening up your heart, kind of like what we talked about in the last episode of the Blooming Wand podcast, and on this YouTube channel. Like a flower turning to the sun, we can practice opening ourselves to receive the gifts of the season. What brings you joy? What nourishes your spirit? And allow yourself to turn towards those things with the same natural instinct that draws a sunflower to face the light. Meaning, what are you naturally drawn to right now? And lean into those things, because maybe you are just like the sunflower whose gaze always follows the sun, as many flowers do. It just does. And thinking about the things that you're drawn to could become the light of your life, something that opens your heart. And another thing that you could do is remember the healed and wise ancestors, light a candle as the sun sets, and spend a few quiet minutes thinking about all the people who have celebrated this day before us, and feel yourself as part of this long, unbroken chain of humans who have found meaning in marking the sun's journey across solstices and equinoxes, all in that big wheel of time and wheel of the year. And the other thing that we can do is just simply let joy overflow from within us. The solstice energy, it wants to be shared. Call someone you love, write a note of gratitude, smile more generously at strangers. And when our hearts fill with the joy of the season, it naturally wants to spill out into the world around us. One of the things I like to do is leave little secret love notes for people where they can find them. Who knows when they'll find them, because sometimes I really squirrel them away good. And I have these little tokens that have little words on them, and I'll hide them in different places around the neighbor. Some people like to do that with painted rocks, which I'm always thrilled when I find a painted rock, but that's just a fun way to kind of let that joy overflow. I'm also really fortunate to live near a trail that has a poetry box. So somebody took a mailbox and turned it into not someone's actual mailbox, but used a mailbox to create a poetry box. And so people leave their favorite poems or poems that they've written in the poetry box. You leave one, you take one, or you just take one, or you just leave one, whatever works. And that has brought me so much joy. And I have kept a lot of the poems that I've pulled from that poetry box, and most of them, I don't even know who wrote them. The authors aren't necessarily on there, but they're words that have really been important to me. And sometimes I'll even pass those along and leave them in places where other people might find them tucked away in a purse or a wallet. And so someone just opens it up and finds a little poem in there. So gifts of connection, I think, are really wonderful to share this time of year, and it doesn't have to cost you anything. The longest day of the year reminds me and us that we're part of something much larger than our individual worries and our daily routines. We're part of a story that began when the first humans looked up at the sun and felt wonder. We're part of a web of life that includes everything growing, every creature moving through the summer air, every person who has ever felt joy rise in their chest at the touch of sunlight. The earth's generosity that we witness in summer reflects back to us our own capacity for richness and joy. So I do feel when I look at the sun, it does make me remember that I am capable of fulfillment and joy and love and happiness and devotion to those things, even when a world is very cruel. And the more cruel the world is, the more important I feel that it is to tend to these things as they arise naturally within myself, not in a bypassy way, not in a rose-colored glasses way. I always feel like I have to say that, but in a way that's like, I will take in the beauty of life just as I will take in the pain of it. And I think that sometimes it's easier to look at and be in the pain, but we mustn't forget the joy. Because I think it's Robin Wall Kimmerer who says, even a bleeding world feeds us. In fact, you know what? I think I have this saved on my phone because it's something that I've really had to lean into myself, and I keep it on my phone where I can read it anytime I'm having a hard time. And I actually misquoted her. Her quote from Braiding Sweetgrass is actually, even a wounded world is feeding us. Even a wounded world holds us, giving us moments of wonder and joy. I choose joy over despair, not because I have my head in the sand, but because joy is what the earth gives me daily, and I must return the gift. So that's something that has been really helpful to me. And if you haven't read Braiding Sweetgrass, it was a really good book. It got me thinking about a lot of things, and I read it probably 2 years ago, but I refer to it often. I pull it up and refer to it quite frequently, just as I have just now. And here's an invitation to you. As we approach the solstice, or if you're watching this or listening to this on the solstice, I invite you to find your own way of honoring this moment. Maybe you'll watch the sunrise or sit quietly in your garden. Maybe you'll gather with friends for a meal that celebrates summer's bounty, or simply pause during your day to feel grateful for the warmth on your skin. However you choose to mark this solstice, know that you're participating in humanity's oldest celebration, the recognition that light is sacred, that abundance surrounds us, and that joy shared multiplies infinitely. And maybe like me, you'll find that your heart fills with a joy that wants to overflow into the world, and maybe in that overflowing, you'll feel connected to everyone who has ever paused on the longest day to honor the sun and give thanks for the gift of being alive in this beautiful, generous world. Well, thanks for being here. I know this is a pretty short and sweet episode, but I wanted to obviously mark this moment. You know, I love to just pop in and share some things with you, particularly on equinoxes and solstices, because they do feel really important to note in our busy day to day lives. I hope this finds you well. Don't forget, you can find me and other resources, paid and otherwise. There's always lots of freebies available too at bloomingwand.com. And in the meantime, and until next time, take good care of yourselves and get those journals out. And I'll be thinking of you. See you soon.